I went online to find out how to cut round kitchen table legs to make them shorter, and there was really nothing online, so I thought I'd make a video myself to help everybody else out there that was in the same situation I was in. I did borrow this idea from a video cutting square kitchen table legs. The whole purpose here is this is 35.5 inches tall, which is way too tall for kitchen leg. And we want it to be 28.5 inches tall. So I'm literally cutting off 7 inches. I cut off 2 pieces of lumber. These are each 7 inches high, and with a 3-inch gap right here. And that will make my cut 7 inches from the floor. Make sure you do it in the house on a solid wood floor or linoleum floor, because you want it to be perfectly level when you do this. Then I simply clamped both sides. And then you want to get yourself a pull saw. I got this from Harbor Freight for $14.99. Pretty great deal, really. And you just want to use this as a guide. And you can see where I'm already going. And I have to admit, it works really good. I'm almost all the way through, but I don't want to go through to the other side because it could cause it to splinter coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to flip this over and come to this side and continue cutting to give it a nice clean cut. And this pull saw really, I have to admit, really works really well. Okay, so I wanted to show you a close-up, and you can see I'm all the way through. Let's see if I can get a good close-up for you there. Nice smooth cut. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tape this with masking tape because it's easier to come off, and because we don't want, because I'm going to move this, these boards and clamps to the next leg, but I need tape here to temporarily support this while I keep going. So let's get started. So as you can see, I've made my cut, and if you look, you can see there, nice smooth, look at that, isn't that beautiful? Nice smooth cut. And then I'm going to put it back, and I'm going to wrap this with some masking tape as I move my clamp and stuff to the next part. I want this to stay supported. This doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm thinking it's probably pretty good. And what I would do is just flip it on the end there so it's easier to peel back off later, see? Well, let's move on to the next leg. Now, I didn't show you how I assembled this earlier, so I'm going to do it now. These are the 3 pieces of wood right here. I made this 12 inches long at 7 inches high, 2 pieces, and this is a 3-inch wide. Now I could have made this a little wider, but that's okay. I measured really from the diameter of this, the round bulb here at the base of the table leg. So I figured it was about 3, but I was off. It's actually probably about 3.5. Then I simply put this together based on other videos I watched, just like that, super easy. Now this clamp, which I got from Harbor Freight, a plug for Harbor Freight there, just barely fits. These clamps are about, I think these are about $3.99 at Harbor Freight. These things are just fantastic. Unfortunately, it just barely fits this, but it suits my needs. Then I clamp the other side here, like this. This clamp barely fits, which kind of sucks. There we go. And then I tighten it down both sides. Make sure it's nice and smooth here. I guess that doesn't really matter because your saw blade is going to be here. But you do want to make sure that you are on the floor. The wood here is on the floor, flat. You don't want any gaps, right? Because if this was higher and you started cutting, or if your platform was crooked, and you started using your pull saw, which just glides along the top here, your bottom of your leg is going to be crooked. So try to make sure, not try, just make sure that this platform you've created is completely flat on the floor. On to leg number 2. Now I'm using the small blades, the small teeth on this side. Well, let me see how the large teeth work. Wow, not bad, actually. I must admit the larger teeth actually work better than the smaller teeth. I thought the larger teeth would catch and bite, but in fact, it's just as smooth but cuts a lot faster. You can see I'm going through that pretty fast. I'll just film to the end on this particular leg so you get an idea. Okay, look at that. Went right through. Okay, I gotta tell you, that pole saw from Harbor Freight, I've never owned one before, but this thing is phenomenal. Okay, so let's unclamp. And then with these clamps here, you just pull on this little trigger right there and it releases it. Pretty neat. And look at that. Look at that nice smooth cut. Oh, let's see if I can get you in there. Look at how smooth that is. Isn't that beautiful? So let's move on to the next leg. Now the third leg. Got it all clamped, and here we go. Just real quick, I want to show you the difference in these blades. See that side and then this side. Both will work, but I found the larger teeth work just as well, but a lot faster. Almost 2/3 of the way through this one. The third leg. And that's it, all the way through. And you can see what a nice, see if I can get a close-up for you here. What a nice, clean cut that is. Isn't that beautiful? That pull saw is just something else. Thank God for YouTube. And I do hope this helps other folks. So this is my third leg. Now, let me tape this now. See if I can get this camera at the right angle here. Let me pull this. There we go. Very nice cut. Just beautiful. And let me get this masking tape. I have the other two legs taped off. And it worked really well, I have to admit. What happened was we bought this table on Facebook, and the guy, I don't think we either didn't pay attention to the height of the table or he never listed it. Either way, we got it home. We picked it up and bought it. We bought it disassembled. So you couldn't tell how tall it was. And just a fact there to pay attention to anytime you go to buy a kitchen table. Make sure you know it's the height. And we weren't paying attention. We just thought all tables were 28.5 inches high at the leg. And this one is 3 feet tall. So just something to keep in mind when you go to buy a table. Okay, so we're on the fourth leg. And I made sure everything was clamped up. I made sure it was smooth to the floor, not, it was all the way to the floor here, wood floor, on both sides. pat it a couple times, make sure it is all the way down. It's nice and smooth here, and let's get to it. Well, here's the final product. I have to admit I was off on the legs by 1/8 inch on each one, but I think I'm going to give myself a pass on that one. But overall, you can see just how great it turned out. Look at those cuts. They're nice and flat on the floor. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's just fantastic. So that was a great idea with setting up the wood and the clamps I got on YouTube. And I hope anybody who has a kitchen table that's too tall with round legs, you won't be overwhelmed at what to do. You can easily shorten them. Just go down to Lowe's or Home Depot, get yourself a piece of lumber, cut it to the proper length you want. Make sure to measure the height, and I think you're good to go. I hope this was helpful. You can see just how beautiful those cuts are. I have not sanded that. That's from that saw, that pull saw I used. Isn't that a beautiful cut? Look at that. It's fantastic. So finally, you want to flip your table upside down, and you want to hit the top of the legs here, if I can get it to focus. You want to do a 45-degree angle just around the edges. Right here. This prevents, when you're dragging the kitchen table along a carpet, for instance, it won't catch in this splinter and pop off. And you get a big chunk of wood ripped out the side. So I'm going to use a sander. Other people use files, whatever. It doesn't got to be pretty, but it does have to go all the way around. And don't worry about it being perfect on the edges, because who's going to look down? And this is always going to be flat. And this, by the way, is from that cut from that saw. Isn't that amazing? Here we go.